Hey brother, let's keep it real for a second. Most guys think the way to keep a woman is by proving themselves, by showing up, by reassuring her, by giving more. But here's the cold truth. The more you try to prove yourself, the faster she loses interest. Because women don't fall for comfort, they fall for impact. And what impacts her the most is the fear of losing a man who's rare. A man who doesn't chase, a man who doesn't flinch, a man who doesn't need her but chooses her. See, women aren't wired to love what's always there. They're drawn to presence with power. And power means this: you're not afraid to walk away. You don't over-explain. You don't react emotionally. And when she feels that shift in you, something happens. Her mind starts racing, her guard drops, and suddenly she's investing. Today's video is not about playing games. It's about learning the exact behaviors that trigger something deep in her, the fear of losing you. And trust me, when that fear kicks in, everything changes. She respects you more, she thinks about you more, and most importantly, she sees you as the man she can't afford to lose. So hit that subscribe button right now, because by the end of this video you'll know how to flip the dynamic for good. Let's get to it. Number 1. Stop reassuring her constantly. Alright brother, let's start with something that might sting a little. If you're constantly trying to reassure her, you're silently draining her attraction. You think you're being loving. You think you're showing her how much you care. But in reality, you're slowly turning yourself into the emotional version of background noise. Let me explain. Women don't fall for comfort. They fall for impact. And when your energy says, "Please like me, please don't leave me," she feels it, and it repels her. You see, reassurance, when overused, signals insecurity. It tells her you're more invested in being chosen than being respected. It says, "I'll give you anything, just don't go." And to a high-value woman, that's weakness. Think of it like this. She texts you something cold, a little distant. You feel uneasy, so what do? You send back a long message trying to make everything okay. You tell her you still like her. You reaffirm how much you care. And at that moment, she stops feeling desire. Why? Because desire needs tension. It needs mystery. It needs space. When you over-reassure, you kill the very thing that made her attracted to you in the first place, your edge. Let's go deeper. Reassurance isn't even for her. It's for you. You're trying to regulate your anxiety. You're trying to avoid rejection. You want to feel in control. But in the process, you lose the one thing that matters most: your masculine presence. A Stoic man doesn't explain himself. He doesn't justify his emotions. He doesn't overtalk his value. Because he knows, what I do speaks louder than what I say. Marcus Aurelius said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." So instead of telling her you're stable, be stable. Instead of telling her you won't leave, show it by staying centered when she tests you. And let's be clear, she will test you. That cold tone, that late reply, that sudden shift in energy, it's not always malicious. Sometimes it's unconscious, but it's real. And when it happens, the weak man overcompensates. The strong man holds still. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't explain. He doesn't flood her with, "Just so you know I still care" texts. He leans into silence. And in that silence, she starts to feel it. Did I push him away? Is he pulling back? Is he losing interest? That is what triggers investment, because now she's the one trying to close the gap. Let me give you a real example. A client of mine used to send a long message every time his girl seemed distant. He was chasing reassurance by giving it, and it never worked. When he finally stopped, when he paused, said nothing, stayed calm, guess what happened? She called him 2 days later, emotional, asking if everything was okay. because for the first time, she felt the fear of losing him, and that's what changed everything. Here's what I want you to take away. Stop talking so much. Start observing. When you feel the urge to send that reassuring message, pause. Ask yourself, is this message about her or about my fear? Then breathe. Hold your frame. Let her come to you. Because when you stay rooted in strength, when your energy says, I'm good, either way she leans in. She feels your confidence. She feels your stability. She feels that you don't need her approval. And that is what makes you irresistible. If you've ever been in a situation where pulling back made her chase harder, drop it below. I've seen this. And keep watching, because in the next part we'll break down exactly what to do when she pulls away and how your silence can become your strongest move. Let's get to it. Number 2. Ignore her when she pulls away. Now, this is where most men lose the game without even realizing it. She starts acting distant. Her replies slow down. Her tone shifts. And what do? You panic. You chase. You try to fix it. You send longer texts. You call more. You ask if she's okay, trying to bring her back. But here's the truth, man. The moment you chase a woman who's pulling away, you flip the script and lose your power. Because now you're reacting to her. You're telling her, your distance scares me. Please come back. And that's the exact moment she knows she's in control. But let me give you a different mindset. What if, when she pulls back, you didn't move at all? What if you stayed still, calm, and totally unbothered? That's where your power is. You have to understand something deeply psychological here. When a woman pulls away, it's not always because she's lost interest. Often it's a test. She wants to see if you'll stay centered or fall apart. She wants to feel that your emotional balance isn't tied to her behavior. And when you stay still, when you ignore the pullback and continue your life as if nothing happened, you send one powerful message. I don't chase uncertainty. I attract commitment. Let me give you a real-world example. Let's say you're texting back and forth with a girl. It's going great. Then suddenly, she goes cold. No good morning text, no emojis. Just dry replies, or worse, silence. The average guy, he's spinning. Did I say something wrong? Is she losing interest? I need to fix this. So he texts her something like, hey, is everything okay? You seem distant. Boom. Game over. Now she's in control, and worse, she knows she has the upper hand. But the man who understands this principle, he sees the silence and says nothing. He continues his day, goes to the gym, focuses on his mission. And a few days later, who's texting who she is? Because she felt the difference. She felt the shift in energy. She realized she didn't have a leash around this man's emotions. And that creates desire. Let's link this to Stoicism for a moment. Seneca once wrote, "He who is brave is free." Freedom here isn't about geography, it's about emotional independence. The Stoic man is free from emotional slavery. He doesn't need her to behave a certain way to feel grounded. He stays in his frame no matter what. And that frame is what women find intoxicating. You're not playing games by ignoring her. You're communicating that you won't negotiate your peace just to get her attention. You're saying, I like you, but I don't need you. I'm here, but I'm not afraid to be without you. I'm interested, but I won't chase confusion. That's attractive. That's magnetic. That's stoic. Here's something else no one tells you. When you ignore her during the pullback, you activate her uncertainty. She starts to wonder, did I go too far? Is he over me? Did I just lose something rare? And in that uncertainty, she starts to feel more. She starts to invest again, because you didn't panic, you didn't fold. You didn't need closure or clarity or explanation. You stood still. And stillness in a world full of emotional chaos is power. So next time she pulls away, don't rush in, don't fix it, don't chase. Just let her sit with the distance. Let her feel the weight of your absence. Let her wonder what you're thinking and why you haven't reached out. Because when she does, you've already won. If you've ever had that moment when staying silent made her come back harder, drop it below. I've felt that. And in the next part, we'll break down something most men don't understand at all. Why showing her you have options makes her want you even more. Let's keep going. Number 3. Let her see you have options. Here's something no one wants to admit out loud. Women are attracted to men who are wanted by other women. It's not about being a player. It's not about juggling girls. It's about one thing: social proof. When she knows other women would want you, you become instantly more valuable in her eyes. Why? Because it triggers her deepest biological instinct. If others want him, there must be something powerful about him. Now let me be clear, I'm not saying you should flirt with every woman you see or make her jealous on purpose. This isn't about manipulation. It's about living your life in such a way that your energy naturally communicates this. I'm a man with options. I choose, I don't beg. Let me break it down. Most guys, once they start dating a woman they really like, enter lockdown mode. They cut off every other social connection. They stop going out. They stop being seen. They stop living. And guess what? She feels it. Suddenly you're no longer the confident, independent guy who had a full life. You're now orbiting around her life. And the attraction starts to die. But when you continue showing up as a man with purpose, when your lifestyle includes friends, community, new people, interesting conversations, she sees that you're not putting her on a pedestal. She realizes, if I start acting cold, he won't be alone for long. And that fear, the fear of being replaced by someone better, it's real, it's primal, and it works. Let me give you a real example. One guy in our Stoic group had a pattern. Every time he started seeing a girl, he'd drop everything. Skip the gym, cancel nights out. He'd give her his full schedule. And every single time she'd lose interest within a few weeks. But when he finally kept his routines, stayed active with friends and didn't text all day, something changed. She started asking more questions. She started wondering where he was. She even said, "I feel like other women are probably all over you, huh?" Boom. That's the shift. When a woman sees you have options or even feels it, she leans in harder. Not because she wants competition, but because she doesn't want to miss out. Now let's connect this to Stoic philosophy. The Stoic man doesn't need attention. He doesn't chase validation. He walks with value. Epictetus said, "Know first who you are and then adorn yourself accordingly." That means live like a man of value. Dress well, train your body, lead your life. Not for her, but for you. Because when you operate like a man who could be with anyone but chooses selectively, you raise your perceived worth. And that's not fake, that's real. Because women don't want a man no one else wants. They want the man who's wanted, but chooses them anyway. And here's the key, you don't have to say anything, you just have to be it. The man with options doesn't rush replies. He doesn't overcommit. He doesn't fold under pressure. Because deep down he knows his worth. And she can feel it. So here's your move. Stop shrinking your life to fit inside hers. Expand it. Start showing up in spaces that light you up. Let her see the kind of man she's lucky to have. The kind of man other women would want but don't get because you're not for everyone. Because the man who lives with options never has to beg for attention. He just has to show up and let the rest fall into place. If you've ever had a woman act differently once she saw other women giving you attention, drop it below. I've seen this. And in the next part, we'll go even deeper into why explaining yourself too much actually kills her respect, and how saying less is often the most powerful thing you can do. Let's move forward. Number 4. Never explain yourself too much. Let's talk about one of the most underrated killers of attraction: over-explaining yourself. You might think explaining shows maturity, that it proves you're honest, transparent. But in reality, when you explain yourself too much, especially to a woman you're dating or pursuing, it often signals one thing: weakness. Let's keep it real. When a man explains too much, he's usually doing it for one reason: he's afraid of being misunderstood. But here's the truth: a high-value man doesn't beg to be understood. He allows others to misunderstand him and still holds his ground. Because he knows this: if your words need defending, they were probably never that powerful to begin with. Look around. The men who move with calm certainty, they say very little, but everything they say lands. Why? Because they're not seeking approval. They speak because something needs to be said, not because they need to be liked. Now think about how this plays out in relationships. She asks you, "Why didn't you text me back right away?" You answer, "Oh, sorry, I was busy, I was doing this, I was thinking about you. I just didn't want to seem too eager, but I do like you." That avalanche of explanation, it backfires. She hears all that and thinks, why is he working so hard to prove himself? What should you have said instead? Maybe nothing, or just "I was busy." Simple, grounded, no overthinking, no energy of guilt. Because here's what women really respond to: certainty without apology. Women don't just hear your words, they feel your energy. And when you over-explain, she doesn't feel reassured. She feels you're trying to manage her opinion. That's not strength, that's strategy, born from fear. Let me bring in the Stoics. Marcus Aurelius said, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." But nowhere did he say, "and then explain it until everyone claps." The Stoic man lives by principle, not performance. And when your behavior is aligned with your values, you don't need to justify it. You live it. You embody it. Let's take a real example. One guy in our Stoic community decided to take a weekend off his phone. No texts, no updates, no Instagram stories. He came back on Monday and saw 3 unread messages from the woman he was dating. She was clearly annoyed. Short replies, passive tone. His old self would have jumped into apology mode. "Hey, sorry, I just needed space. I wasn't ignoring you. Please don't think I'm not interested." But this time he paused. He simply replied, "Took some time to reset. All good now. Hope you're well." That was it. And her energy shifted. Why? Because he didn't make it about her. He didn't seek permission for his choices. He made a calm move, trusted it, and stood by it. That's masculine energy. It's not about being emotionally unavailable. It's about owning your center. You want to know what really happens when you explain less. She starts explaining more. She starts wondering what you're thinking. She starts questioning her tone. She starts over-clarifying because she feels the shift. And suddenly the frame has flipped. You're no longer trying to win her understanding. She's investing in yours. Here's the key. Never explain for validation. Only clarify for alignment. One builds desire. The other kills it. So next time you feel the urge to over-explain, pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to be understood or am I trying to be approved? Then breathe. Say less. And let your presence speak for itself. Because when a man speaks with restraint, with calm, and with certainty, his words carry weight. They echo. And the less you explain, the more curious she becomes. If you've ever had a moment where staying silent made you feel more in control, more grounded, drop it below. I've felt that. Oh, and before we move on, if this message is hitting home and you want to go deeper, hit that subscribe button right now. And if you're ready to surround yourself with men who live this out, join our Stoic community today. We're building something strong. You belong in it. Now, in the next part, we'll get into one of the hardest but most powerful things you can do. Walk away without a word when you're disrespected. Let's get to it. Number 5. Walk away when disrespected. Every man hits a moment when the line is crossed. Sometimes it's loud like a public insult. Other times it's subtle like the tone in her voice when she mocks something important to you. Either way, something inside you feels it disrespect. And in that moment, what you do next tells her everything she needs to know about your self-worth. Here's what most guys do. They brush it off. They tell themselves, she didn't mean it. They try to smooth things over, explain or joke their way out of it. But here's the truth. The first time she disrespects you and you do nothing, she learns one thing: you'll tolerate it. And once that dynamic sets in, it doesn't get better, it gets worse. See, women don't test you to destroy you, they test you to see if you'll stand. And the strongest thing you can ever do is not yell, not argue, not chase. It's to calmly walk away. No drama, no angry texts, just stillness, just distance. Because that silence, that absence, it triggers something deep in her psychology. She goes from controlling the emotional dynamic to suddenly feeling the weight of your absence. And here's the twist, that fear of losing your grounded presence is what makes her respect you. Let's take it to a real-world example. There was a man in our Stoic circle who had been dating a woman for a few months. Things were going well until she started making cutting remarks. Small digs about his ambition, sarcastic jokes in front of others, subtle jabs meant to poke. He didn't react at first. He gave her the benefit of the doubt. But deep down, he started feeling smaller. He was losing his edge. One day after another passive comment that hit too hard, he didn't blow up. He didn't explain. He didn't justify his reaction. He simply looked at her calmly, stood up and said, "I value peace. I won't stay where I'm being chipped away." And he walked out. No threats, no storm, just power. Days later, she reached out, said she missed him, tried to spin it as a joke gone wrong. But the shift had already happened, and this time he didn't come back. Because once you realize you've compromised your standards just to hold someone's attention, you stop needing their attention. That's emotional sovereignty. That's stoicism in action. Now, what does the philosophy actually say about this? Marcus Aurelius put it perfectly. The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury. You don't repay disrespect with retaliation. You transcend it. By simply removing your presence, you flip the entire power dynamic. Because she's not used to men who value themselves more than her validation. She's used to being chased, forgiven, over-explained to. But when she disrespects you and you don't flinch, you don't stay, you don't return, that's when it hits her. She just lost something rare. A man who doesn't need her to feel worthy. And ironically, that's the man she fears losing the most. Because absence creates reflection. It gives her time to replay what she said, how she acted, and what she just lost. That space is louder than any argument you could have had. So here's what you do. The next time something doesn't sit right and you feel the tightening in your chest, don't brush it off. Don't write a paragraph. Don't justify your silence. Just stand up metaphorically or literally and remove yourself with calm, with dignity, with finality. Because that one move, it does what words never can. It recenters the frame. It reminds her, and more importantly, yourself who you are. If you've ever walked away in silence and felt your power grow, type it below. I've done this. And if this is something you've struggled with, Let this be your moment of clarity. You don't demand respect. You live in a way that makes disrespect incompatible with your presence. Coming up next, we're diving into the misunderstood idea of emotional unavailability and how becoming a little more untouchable can make you irresistible. Let's move forward. Number 6. Delay your responses on purpose. There's something powerful about a man who doesn't respond right away. Not because he's playing games, but because his life doesn't revolve around his phone or her. This is where most guys get it wrong. The moment she texts, they reply. The second she calls, they pick up. They think fast responses, show interest, respect, maybe even love. But what it really shows is availability, predictability, and over time that kills attraction. Let's be honest. How many times have you dropped everything just to text her back instantly, hoping she'd feel more secure, more seen? And how often did that actually increase her desire? Chances are it didn't. Because here's what most men don't understand. It's not the words you text, it's the space between the words that creates tension, mystery, desire. Delaying your response is not about manipulation, it's about recentering your energy. It's about not letting every beep, buzz, and ping pull your attention off your purpose. You want her to feel your presence when you speak, but also feel your absence when you don't. Stoicism teaches this well. Seneca wrote, "He who is everywhere is nowhere." Apply that here. If you're constantly in her inbox, you're nowhere in her mind. You become background noise. You lose gravity. But when you delay your reply intentionally and calmly, you allow curiosity to grow. And curiosity is the seed of obsession. Let me give you something real. One guy I know used to text women back within seconds. Always polite, always eager, always present. And guess what? He kept getting ghosted. So he tried something different. Not out of bitterness, but out of self-respect. He stopped responding instantly. Instead, he checked his messages only twice a day. No rush, no panits. If she texted hey, he might reply 4 hours later with, "Hey, just wrapped up a few things. What's up?" And suddenly the energy shifted. She started double texting, started asking where he was, started wondering what he was doing. Why? Because mystery invites imagination. And imagination, especially when stirred by limited access, creates emotional investment. That doesn't mean being cold or ignoring her just to win. It means showing you have a full, rich life. One where your time and attention are earned. This is masculine polarity in action. Stillness, slowness, control. And here's something you might not expect. The less you rush to reply, the more respect you command when you do reply. Your words carry more weight. They aren't just filler, they're intentional. They signal a man who chooses, not chases. It also creates boundaries. You're training her and yourself to operate from patience, not urgency. Because relationships driven by urgency, they burn fast, fade faster. But when you move from calm presence, you create something sustainable and attractive. And here's what women will never tell you directly. They feel the difference. They might say they want a guy who's always available. But the ones they chase, those are the men who give them just enough to stay connected without making themselves too easy to reach. Even the act of pausing before you type gives you power. It gives space to clarity. You respond with intent, not impulse. It's stoic restraint in modern form. You're not controlled by outside noise. You act, you don't react. So try this. Next time she texts you late at night, don't reply right away. Wait until the morning. Next time she sends a short, lukewarm message, don't rush in to validate it. Let her wonder, because when she feels your absence, she starts valuing your presence. Now, if you've ever delayed your response and watched the energy flip in your favor, drop it below. I've seen this work. And if you've been the guy always responding too fast, now's your chance to try something new. Don't ghost. Don't manipulate. Just slow down. Create space. Let her feel the gap. Oh, and if this message is making sense and you want more insights like this, hit that subscribe button right now. And for those of you ready to go deeper, to train your mindset daily and connect with men on the same path, join our Stoic community today. You'll thank yourself in 6 months. Next up, we're talking about how to stop trying to be understood and why a man who doesn't over-explain becomes 10x more powerful. Let's keep going. Number 7. Keep your emotions in check. Let's talk about control, not over her, but over yourself. Because no matter how stoic, confident, or dominant you look on the outside, if your emotions are boiling beneath the surface, she'll feel it. She may not say it directly, but she senses it every time. Nothing turns her off faster than emotional instability in a man. And here's the truth. A woman doesn't need you to be emotionless. She needs you to be unshakable. She might throw a test at you, say something sharp, pull away, suddenly act cold. Not always because she's trying to hurt you, but because consciously or unconsciously, she's looking for your center. And when you react, when you chase, argue, beg, or explode, you just told her, "You control me more than I control myself." That's when attraction dies. Here's where Stoicism enters the game, not as some alpha trick, but as a lifelong discipline. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this and you will find strength. Read that again, the world will shake. She might too. But your mind is your ground. You don't ignore emotions, you observe them. You don't fight feelings, you feel them without being enslaved by them. Let me show you how this looks in real life. There was a guy I mentored who had this habit. Every time his girlfriend pulled away, didn't text back quickly, or gave short replies, he'd spiral. He'd send long messages, ask if something was wrong, try to clear the air. All under the illusion of being emotionally honest. But what he was really doing, bleeding insecurity, handing over the frame, trying to manage her emotions by exposing all of his. Eventually she pulled away for good. Why? Because she never felt his strength. Only his need to be understood, validated, reassured. After that he made a shift. He started journaling instead of reacting. Started taking a walk when he got triggered. He replaced emotional overexposure with stillness. And you know what happened? Next time she came at him with cold energy, he didn't flinch. He just said, "Let me know when you're ready to talk," and walked away. No yelling, no arguing, no desperate energy. She messaged him an hour later, soft, curious, respectful, because she felt the difference. Women don't always want an answer. Sometimes they just want to feel that you're anchored, that you won't shatter when they shake the tree. Think of it this way. A woman brings the waves, you bring the shore. She brings intensity, you bring depth. That contrast is where desire lives. So when your emotions rise, jealousy, anger, fear, that's your moment. Not to suppress, but to breathe, to observe. To choose a response that aligns with the man you are, not the boy you used to be. Even 1 second of silence before reacting changes everything. Because in that silence you reclaim power. This doesn't just help you in relationships, it makes you better in life. In business, in crisis, in leadership, the calmest man in the room always wins. Why? Because calm isn't weakness, it's dominance over yourself. Women respect the man who holds the storm without making her responsible for it. So the next time you feel that surge, that urge to send the emotional text, say the dramatic line, or argue for your point, pause. Let it pass. Ask yourself, Is this response coming from my values or my ego? Then choose stillness every single time. And here's the challenge. It's not easy, but every time you practice this, she notices. She feels your grounded energy. She starts trusting you deeper, even if she can't explain why. If you've ever kept calm in the middle of an emotional storm and it flipped the energy in your favor, comment, "I've held the frame." And if you haven't done that yet, this is your sign. It starts now. In the next part, we're unlocking a tactic that adds silent intensity to your presence. The power of unpredictability. How being just a little harder to read can make her feel more drawn to you than ever. Let's go. Number 8. Be unpredictable. There's a reason why the quiet, mysterious guy across the room gets all the attention, and it's not because of how loud he is. It's because no one can quite figure him out. That right there is power. Most guys try to win women over by becoming overly transparent. They share everything, reveal their every move, text at the same times, say the same things, follow the same patterns. And it works, at first. But eventually it becomes boring. She knows what you'll say before you say it. She knows how you'll react before you react. And what's predictable is forgettable. Here's the truth. Women don't fantasize about men who give them everything up front. They obsess over men who make them wonder. Men who give them something to chase. This doesn't mean being inconsistent or manipulative. It means breaking the script, refusing to become just another copy-paste, overly available man. Let me give you a real-world example. One guy I worked with had been dating a woman for 2 months. Things were going well, but he noticed something. The more predictable he became, the less effort she made. She used to text first, ask about his day, get excited to see him. But once she figured out his schedule, his replies, his rhythm, the spark dimmed. So he made one subtle shift: unpredictability. He started changing up the rhythm. Sometimes he'd take longer to respond, not out of spite, but because he was actually focused on his goals. Other times he'd suggest plans, but on his terms, not just to fit hers. He didn't disappear. He didn't play games. He just stopped being available on command. And guess what? She started leaning in again, texting first, asking deeper questions, sending voice notes, initiating plans. Why? Because tension returned. Curiosity came back. She didn't have him completely, and that lit her up. Now let's link this to Stoic thinking. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." And part of being that man is understanding that you don't owe anyone constant updates. You're not here to be fully read, fully mapped, fully known by the end of week 2. Let her earn your layers. Let her unlock parts of you slowly. Let her experience the challenge of discovery. You don't have to fake being mysterious. You already are if you stop oversharing, over-explaining, over-validating. True unpredictability isn't about chaos. It's about having depth she hasn't reached yet. That might look like taking a trip without announcing it, going offline for a day because you're building, being fully present, in person, but quiet over text. Not reacting the same way every time she pushes for attention. This slight unpredictability keeps the tension alive. Biologically, this makes sense too. In psychology, it's called intermittent reinforcement, the most powerful form of conditioning. When a reward, your attention, your affection, is not always guaranteed, it becomes more addictive. That's why slot machines hook people. That's why the guy who's sometimes available has more pull than the guy who's always there. But remember, you're not withholding love. You're maintaining your center. She's not your mission. Your mission is your mission. She's a beautiful part of your world, not the reason it turns. And when she sees that, When she realizes she can't pin you down completely, that's when she starts investing more. That's when she starts respecting your time. That's when she stays curious about who you are and what you'll do next. So, if you've been too predictable lately, here's your invitation. Change the tempo. Skip the usual good morning text. Show up differently. Let her miss you. Let her feel the shift. And if she asks what's changed, tell her this: nothing's changed. I'm just focusing on things that matter, because you are. If you've ever kept just enough mystery to keep her interested, drop it below. She felt it. And if you've never tried it, this is the final piece of the puzzle. Don't just be present, be unpredictable. Be the one she can't quite figure out. That's the man she'll never forget. If you've made it this far, you're not like most men. Most guys tap out when things get uncomfortable. But you're here because you're building something deeper. A stronger mindset, a stronger presence, a stronger you. And the truth is, the man who triggers a woman's fear of losing him isn't doing it to manipulate. He does it because he's already committed to never losing himself. That's who you're becoming. If this video gave you clarity, if it reminded you of your power, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. This isn't just a channel, this is a movement. And if you're ready to go beyond these videos, to sharpen your mindset daily to connect with other Stoic men walking the same path, join our private Stoic Brotherhood today. You'll find the link in the description. Until then, thanks for being here. Thanks for doing the work. And I'll see you tomorrow. Stay strong. Stay stoic.